There's no question there's quite a bit of acreage in the northern part of the state that today, in 2013, has habitat that could sustain deer, yet there are no deer in it. A lot of this habitat is the result of some of the very severe winters we had 2008 and 9, in which the deer population was devastated, and in some cases deer were actually extirpated from some of the wintering habitat. The question is, should you retain that habitat on the hope that deer come back, or should you make other economic uses for that timber supply and move on with the hope that in the future other forests will regrow and deer can inhabit that? And it's kind of a sticky question that comes to the issue of preserving and conserving deer wintering habitat for the long term in an era when deer are a little more mobile than our regulations are. At the root of all of this is, despite the fact that good habitat to support deer is in place, you still have ongoing severe wintering conditions where during some winters, for example in 2008, when there was 6 feet of snow on the ground and 4 feet under the softwoods, deer simply could not move, and coyote predation and starvation caused, in some cases, over 50% mortality in specific deer yards, in some places higher, by actual measurement from the department. To get deer coming back, and what concerns me more over large areas is that in order to get deer coming back, you need to restore a positive growth rate in the deer population. And regulating the harvest alone and having a habitat base in place is not going to be sufficient, because we're not going after the other mortality factors that are really at the root of the problem. And that is predation on adult deer in wintertime and predation by coyotes and bears on fawns in the summer. You can have a situation where high predation rates on young fawns could completely prevent population growth if more than 60% of the fawn crop is killed annually. And studies in Maine and New Brunswick have shown from the 80s to the present that quite often that high a fawn mortality rate is in place. So given this situation, if we cannot reduce deer mortality, or if we cannot improve deer survival to where populations are growing again, you will not have deer moving from places, wintering habitat where they currently exist, into previously vacated wintering habitat. So it's really a big question mark for the next 20 years. Can we get enough recovery in the deer population to get previously occupied habitat reoccupied? No one has the answer to that. It's an uphill battle, to be sure. If you're a landowner and you're looking at that habitat, you have to take first into account how stable that forest is currently. And if it's in a condition where it's over mature now, you may want to seriously consider finding ways to rejuvenate the stand and take a timber harvest. Well, in some cases, especially if there is an abundant understory of regeneration there, and balsam fir, for example, that's over mature, it would be a pretty severe removal of overstory. Now that's anathema in places where deer yards are zoned and only limited harvests can occur. But I think companies are working one-on-one with inland fisheries and wildlife in a lot of cases to try to accomplish some of this.